incredibly impressive statistic, especially seeing as Bizzle had some connection issues in one game. They did it as a duo, and that was obviously when Clix just really showed why he is one of the best players in the game doing it. I don't want to say solo Booger was 100% there, helped with the rotates, set him up for success in endgame, but he definitely didn't have a second place loadout or third place loadout by any means, and still managed to pull off not just the placement, but the 5 eliminations, because that's what's so difficult to do. Trios is really, really hard to clutch up as a solo or even a duo, especially when Storm Surge is climbing so high, but to do it as a solo in endgame with eliminations, walking through entire trios like Calc's team, who is doing well here today as well. So there is really no doubt in anyone's mind here that Clix, Bizzle, and Booger are a team to look out for coming into FNCS.
No doubt about it. You saw there the quick flyer from the formats, the importance, right, from 4th place to 17th, as every team that falls there is worth an individual point, and then things really spike up from 3rd, 2nd, and of course that prestigious victory royale. And that's why we're really emphasizing teams that make it so far, survive for so long. They're just there in the top 20 teams, but don't make it all the way through and lose out on those precious points that you can get from just staying alive a little bit longer. And the difference is sometimes just switching a layer, hopping on down, staying with a teammate, closing a tarp, right? It's the little things, and this is the thing about NA East in particular as a region. They play and strive for perfection. That's why these players practice every day. That's why they hold these drop spots. And again, the politics around the drop spots, right? Like we talked about in private, is so important to these players because of just that. It's all the effort and time they put in to try and maintain the perfect type of Fortnite.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and that's what NA East is known best for. With the practice they have, being so consistent versus the teams all the time. That's why a lot of people look to EU for how you handle that kind of, I don't know, when there's a spanner thrown in the works, that unpredictability on the day, that bigger region with pros, not only just, so many different pros to keep track of, different language barriers, different practice scenes, just, you don't really get to see EU come together until the FNCS brings it all together. With NA, they have such a strong practice scene that you get to see games break out quite regularly, but even then, when you have this final game, it'd be interesting to see. I'd have to say there's at least maybe 9 or 10 teams in this 33 that don't usually participate in those top level pro games. So already that brings enough kind of, interesting things into the work. As soon as you see Saints team got in there, Centers team got in there, the XZ trio, just, almost Star Wars onto the NA just holding things down. When they're not there, it gives these other players a chance to move up, and it changes the game plan for everyone else. And Chris Bizzle and Booger are just adapting the best.
Yeah, you're talking about, when teams are not here, how things can change. Not only that, when teams qualify out of this week's, the other weeks are going to change as well. So we're going to see a lot of different teams that we probably otherwise wouldn't see win a full week qualify their way through, which is also going to determine how the finals are going to play out. I have a feeling that this finals is going to look like no other final we've ever seen. Teams are going to have to do their homeworks in the week lead up, right? They're only going to have a week to prepare these drop spots. They're going to have a week to decide, okay, we called out of this drop, but do we want to fight the other team that called out of this drop, right? There's going to be 3 drop spots, I feel like, on the map, no doubt about it, unless someone does the homework and switches it up, is willing to play on a different drop.
Yeah, and you see, we talk about strategies and people setting up. Has Scoped and Tragics having this position almost every game, always setting up on this hill, trying to get their Storm Surge tags out of here, and I think this part of their gameplay is doing very well. They're 21 below, as I say that, but they're in the right spot to find their damage, but it's clearly something else that's going wrong after this. 17 points on the board for a team that's made it off spawn, I think, every single game. It's something in the mid-game, probably after this point, is really just not going right in their game plan, but they don't qualify today. They've got 2 more weeks to figure it out, hoping they make it into round 4 of each of the remaining qualifiers, because this is their first time playing together. They make it into round 4, so clearly are doing very well off the bat, but have a lot of room to improve over the weeks to come as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's not forget there is consistency points as well that people will have to look out for, but either way, let's see here. Clamps, Adrian, Okis, Blake, Ronaldo, again, surviving their drops of Lazy Legs, but Clamps, Adrian, and Archive right nearby. It's like every single game we're seeing Blake, Ronaldo, and Okis land right next to the same team that lands their drop spot. So back and forth between the two. And both teams do not have max shield either. So they've been trading tags with one another. They've been, again, scuffling on the rotates through. Here's Goku, Spegu and Justice though, looking around. 258 damage above the surge. Nothing to worry about for this trio here. 9 teams though have that pressure on their back.
Yeah, still going to try and take the chance to do more, though. You can't even rest on how much you have, because NA East ramps it up so fast, especially with sniper rifles being so prevalent in this current meta. Getting those 100+ damage tags to the body, or potentially their headshot as well, with the down body gives you so much damage, and it can creep up so fast. And the earlier you're going for your Storm Surge, the better. Waiting until rotating zones to be behind is going to be tough, because NA East is playing for real now. They're turning up the heat. These teams are figuring out where they want to go and what they want to do, because now we still have 80 players alive with Storm Surge going active. So we looked at the first game on, so I think we had like 67 at this point, so they're getting more stacked as the day goes on.
Yeah, this is definitely a bit of a stack, and I think someone just got sniped nearby, expecting to get all the shield ripped off of them. You can see how the damage surge levels are changing here as all the teams are getting active, and this is what puts the pressure on the backs of Goku and company. Remember, if they're only 180 damage above, that's still the same looming pressure that they're going to have when the next surge threshold hits, right? And as it goes down, other teams are changing the tide here, changing the scale of balance. They have to fight. You may be safe now, but you will not be safe in the future zones if you don't continue to be active. Ronaldo, Blake, and Okis are actually under the pressure right now of the surge, and they're probably going to need a fight. It's the second time now we've watched them try to out-heal a surge, and it hasn't worked before.
Yeah, you can't try to out-heal surge. It's always such a scary one, unless it's literally one play to go down, and even then, sometimes you see games where it'll be 51 or 52, 50 is the threshold, and it just drags out for so long. As we see different teams setting up here at Steamy now as well. Not really sure what's going on here, or what's happening with Chav's team. Do they finally get a good zone? And maybe Chav's team's already fallen here as we see Jack in the feed, Ronaldo going down. But Steamy stacks is such an interesting spot to be at the end, because if those stacks are still in, you can get a really nice rotate out. But the more time you spend in the sky, the more of an open target you are. And this team doesn't have the health to spare. If they become a target, they're going to go down very, very quickly.
And no doubt about it here, though, now. On height, Llama, Elite, wide drain here. Talk about teams that are just making first major appearances for some of us. This is their opportunities to start shining. ADB, Jays, and Plague, though, at 45 points. They're one solid game away from breaking.
He's 1 HP. He's 2 HP.
Literally one win for any.
Epic, why can't you give me one more time?
That's it. They're smooth sailing. They've made it all the way through. We saw the cutoff points in most of the regions being around 95 to just about 100, right? 4 top 10. So again, one win, one good win, that's about 60 points.
Yeah, it's a really massive amount of points, and that's what this round 4 in the qualifiers wants to try to simulate. If you get eliminations, you're doing it on more difficult targets. You're eliminating players that are harder. You should be rewarded more for that. Same with getting the top 3 placements, rewarding consistency, but really those who are playing consistently at the best of the best with eliminations as well. In opens rounds, when you're versing, anyone who's in Champions Division, you're going to run into a less caliber of player than you are in the top 33 teams in NA East after 3 rounds of qualifiers. So it makes sense your eliminations are rewarded more, and that's why we're seeing such big jumps up in the leaderboard. It's still rewarding consistency like you're seeing from teams like Clicks, Booger, and Bizzle, but it also gives that potential for any team that wants to step up and wants to have their big games against the big boys be able to really just secure qualification, or at least a lot of consistency points.
Yeah, consistency points is what you want to go ahead and achieve if you're just outside the bubble, basically qualifying your way through these qualifying weeks, right? The final rounds will definitely secure you that spot. You just want to make sure you do pretty decent when you're here. Go on and put the icing on the cake for yourself. Trick, the French-Canadian trio of Lupien and Trick here, working with one another. Clamps on the other side, trying to see what he can find. On the look back here, he's going to go and slide his way all the way up. Actually going to be exchanged, but nothing's going to connect. Looks like Clamps does escape with Archive and Adrian. Again, that Lazy Lake trio there. Flax, Jock, and Acorn, a team we haven't really talked about much today, or at least haven't seen much on the show. It's doing, I guess, okay in the tournament. Not too great, though. We were watching them win their drop spot at Slurpy Swamps, but outside of that, not making any noise beyond that. They had one great game today, and that was a 5th place in game number 3 with 8 eliminations. Other than that, their last game was a complete dud. They were taken out somewhere early in their drop, possibly rotating out through Weeping.
It's always interesting to see. You got to try and think what's going through, what's going wrong, what's not fitting the game plan, especially for these teams that have been playing together, not just for multiple weeks now in this FNCS, but multiple FNCSs. Some of the best teams in NA East with the most pressure on them are the ones that have been together since the start. We still have our first and second place teams still together as trios. You've still got the XZ trio, you've still got Jack, Acorn, Slacks, Zate, Saf, and Stretch. There's so many big names that just, they stick together, but sometimes on the day, things go different and things just don't work. Or, again, in the world of Fortnite against the best of the best, sometimes maybe you're just not up to the par on that day. Things are struggling, things aren't connecting, as Jack, Acorn, and Slacks trying to make a big move onto high, trying to build up on top of what looks like Ocus's team here, which unfortunately Ocus is going to try and challenge, which is going to push him up higher, make him a target as Ronaldo has fallen. So maybe having to go down and back up Blake to get this revive, or hold the high ground and see what happens, because I'm not seeing Ronaldo get finished in the feed though, so hopefully he's safe.
Yeah, he might be able to get saved. I'm pretty sure he was sniped by, I was going to say sniped by Jock on the rotate there as they were moving on in the outskirts. 20 seconds feels like forever for these players, especially when you're under the surge. 14 players are above the surge right now. 10 seconds remain on the clock. Desperate decisions are going to be made here. We saw Ronaldo and company trying to heal the last storm surge. If they didn't find a big fight, if they didn't secure a full team wipe or something, they're pretty much done right now. They're going to have this serious pressure on top of them. And look at that. They basically virtually pulled the zone right now. It's coming down south. Colosso, though, in the feed's going to find Acorn, and oh no. You talk about teams going to do drastic things. The exchanges are happening now.
What is this base I'm seeing from Dukes, Threats, and Chap? This is a big one. This is looking like an old school, like Season 2, Season 3 base in Chapter 1, where you just use up all your material to make a secure high ground. But it is Chap at the end of the day. I'm sure there's a reason for it. And when you look at it, for how much room it's covering, it's actually not that much material. Without the rooms, without the codes, this didn't cost them that much. And Chap's a fan of building these big bases. There's no mobility in the game right now to let someone just jump in there with shockwaves. Maybe a well-placed bounce pad, but I have to think they've secured a really good position on the top of this one, as Aspect and Penitentiary is trying to keep their momentum pushing forward on 71 points on the edge, trying to secure that top 10 with 2 games to go. With Nero also in the feed, so coming into this endgame monster, it looks like we've got a lot of those big teams that haven't quite been performing, looking to have their game here.
Yeah, definitely, and that means the standings are going to shake up because bubble teams are popping off, which means that is always going to cause upsets up towards the top. It's really going to take those top players and crunch them down into those bottom players and really keep it nice and close for the final game here leading in. This is just game number 5 right now. This will be the pace setter. This will be the settings set for the teams that need to qualify out of this round here. Who can break into top 10? Who can hold top 10 by the time this is all said and done? Because 71 points is a lot right now. That is a lot that keeps them up towards this top 6. It allows them to maintain it, but it's not enough. It's not enough to still catch up to Bucky, Kanata Macwood, not enough to catch up to Furious, Calvin Sebi, and everyone else who's up above in the top
Flipping
standing.
free
So
medkit.
they're not safe just yet.
They're not safe just yet at all. They've got that engine